Hi guys, it's XD40 Lou here in the RC Garage. So I wanted to do a little short update on my FMS FJ40, and just got it recently, and I did my first run, and hopefully you guys have checked out the video. If not, hopefully you will. But I am totally stoked with this truck. What a great deal for the money and what you get. Uh, Actually, can't believe they can sell this car for 350 bucks when, some of the top companies out there are selling trucks for 600, $700. And especially this size. I looked at the specs on the 1.1 FJ40 online, and I would say this is actually closer to like a 1.7 scale. Um, so anyway, took it out yesterday. Just kind of wanted to run it and see how it did and what kind of stuff I feel. I don't have any competition crawlers, so I don't really need anything that's like super performance. I kind of do a little bit of rock crawling, a little bit of trails. I basically like to get a backpack and load a few things on it and go out and do a little hike and run the truck and film and try to find some nice spots around town. And so for that reason, I don't really need a whole lot of performance. I just need more. For me, I look for, the biggest thing is that it looks great and it's durable, and that I don't have to be. One of the things I don't like is spending $700 on an expensive truck and then having to upgrade everything because it wasn't any good. On this truck here, I don't mind doing the upgrades at all because you got so much money left over from, spending a lot, that you can afford to do the nice upgrades on it. And so after that first run, the one thing I did before I even ran it is, because of all the video reviews that I've seen out there, I definitely wanted to check out, do something with the shocks before I go out and buy a new set. So I'm definitely going to buy a new set of shocks. But I did do a modification on this, and it helped. I think it helped a lot. It just stiffened it up. And basically, I've done this before on several trucks. All I did on this is, and you can see it doesn't really rock as much. But what I did is I put a little small internal spring on the original shock. And basically, guys, it's just a simple little mod. I'll cut the spring in half, right? And then what I do is I like to put it, now I put mine, this part facing down and the cut part facing up. So it goes inside there. You have to remove the little bladder thing that's in there. But basically I will put it in there. Okay. Put the cap back on. So it kind of has a dual spring on it. Has the outer spring and then the inner one. And then I just put a little bit of oil in each one just to keep it lubricated. But it's not a damper shock. And from what I've seen out there and some of the reviews, it's not a shock you can basically fill with oil. From what I understood is the dampening doesn't really work with it. So for now, I'm going to leave it that way. And then I did change out the tires because I had this spare set of tires that I thought would look good on here. And so they were too big for the 110 crawlers, so I basically had them on the shelf. But for this size truck, I thought they were perfect. And I really think they look really good on this truck. So these are 2.2 tires, 132 millimeter height. And so it's a good sized tire. And it's a good quality tire too. Very soft compound. So that's all I've done is the little shock mod and then added the tire. And then on the inside, I added a couple of passengers. Now these are 8-inch figures, not 7-inch. Most of the time on 110 scale, you want to use a 7-inch figure, which gives you a 6-foot tall driver, basically is the way it works out. But it's not a bad fit, but to be honest with you, it needs a 9-inch, I would think, just a little bit bigger figure. I would say instead of an 8, it probably needs a 9, maybe even a 10 with the modification. But definitely, to me, the 12-inch figure, let me show you something. Okay, so some guys are putting in a 12-inch figure, okay? But to me, I think it's just too big. And I'm not going to chop up a, $28 action figure. Although I would say that the 8-inch one I have in here is actually not too far off. So for now, until I can find a nice 9-inch or 10-inch figure, I'm going to stick with those. Anyway, I felt to me that's just too big. He doesn't fit in there. I'd have to really chop him up pretty good. And then his head to me looked, it looked too big. Anyway, but I've seen it out there with 1/6 scale figure, which is a 12-inch figure, but that's too much for me. Anyway, so I'm going to go with these guys for now. I did take off the other things I did, which I don't really consider modifications, is I took the window out. I almost always take out the windows on my cars. That's how we drive out here, with our windows open. I'm in Arizona, and 8-9 months out of the year, my windows are open. But as you could see, it's not too bad. It's a little small. It's hard to tell with the reflections there. It's a little small, but not bad. I did do a little bit of, this has a tread on it, so I just highlighted the treads. As you can see there. And then the other thing I did last night, after the first run had a white top and then the white grill. And I did go ahead and take the body off and took it apart and painted them gray. I thought the gray-blue combo, I like more of a dark, like even when I had my motorcycles, I always liked my motorcycles blacked out. So I did a dark color for the top and for the grill. And then I added my LED bar. I didn't want to add an LED bar to the roof. Not yet. Because to be perfectly honest with you guys, I was going to make this almost like a Jeep Willys. Because back in the 70s, these were actually used quite a bit for military use in Asia and other areas around the world. Just like the Jeep Willys and the Suzuki Jimneys were very little, but just like those other two, they were used for military purposes. So I was actually, the intention I bought this truck was to remove the doors, to remove the top, and just make it more like a Jimny, like a Willys Jeep. But, and I think I may still do that down the road. But for now, I like it so much. I like the way it is. This is about it. As soon as I find my drivers, this is about as far as I'm going to go this year. And then I may leave this for my projects of, in the summertime when it's hot, I'm usually indoors. So I may leave that for a project for the summertime for next year to do, which is to take it completely apart and maybe repaint it or even weather it and make it look more like an off-road. And then if I remove all that, one of the nice things is if I get a Hobby Wing Fusion Pro, I really think this thing will really be an awesome crawler because now you're removing the rack, all the top, the doors, and you're lightening it up. So the weight is going to be, because of the size of the body, it's not going to be that heavy. And this plastic here that they use, this hard body, is actually not that heavy. With all that top weight removed, maybe a little bit of brass on the bottom and a good motor and ESC, this thing could be a killer crawler. So we'll see. But for now, that's kind of the way it's going to stay. Really, really like it. I'm planning to go over to Tonto National Forest and do a river run out there, running around in the river and in the mountains and see how she does. But yeah, just wanted to kind of touch bases with you guys and let you know that hey, if you, for those that are considering this truck, worth every penny, I think, and I have no complaints on it. You know, if it was a $700 truck, I'd be complaining about, you know, it might need shocks and the tires aren't that good, a ESC motor. But when you buy a car like this for that kind of money, $350, really shouldn't be complaining about it, because, you know, I've been watching some reviews and people complaining that, oh, it needs better shocks, it needs better tires, it needs this and that. And I think to myself, well, if they did that, then it would be a $700 truck. But, you know, they reduce their costs that way. And to me, I think you get a lot of truck for the money. Plus, it's like 1/7 scale. You know, it's not a small truck. So, hey, kudos out to FMS. Very enjoyable truck. And I look forward to a lot of runs this coming winter season. So take care, guys. XT40 Loose signing out.